maximum 4. So if you have, you are looking for a group of size 4, you can make a group of size 4. That is okay. So you can make a group of 2, 3, or 4. 4 group size is permitted. Number 1. Number 2. All the faculty members have been asked to prepare and submit their project proposals. They will be submitting their project proposals in the middle of next week. You don't need to send us your group details. When the supervisors submit us the project proposals, we will email you all the project proposals of your branch. So you will know which supervisor is offering which project. We will do that inshallah in next week, and by the middle of the week after, which would be week, I think that would be week 5. Yeah, by the middle of week 5, you would be able to submit your projects to your supervisor. So once we share with you the projects proposed by the supervisors of your branch, as I had mentioned in the previous class, those supervisors details would be shared with you. You can go to those supervisors, discuss the projects that you like, or you can discuss your own idea. After that, the method would be same. The supervisors would be asked to send the details of the project group that they have approved, and that is how we will accept your project proposals. Is that clear? Any confusions about that? Okay, good. The last thing that I wanted to tell was that we had some problem with Blackboard. No, there are no individual groups. The group size can be 2, 3, or 4 members. Yes, we will accept projects via supervisors. That is how the method is. The idea of the project you will discuss with the supervisor, or you will accept the idea that supervisor has proposed. No, again let me clarify. So that, and after this I will not clarify this particular thing. The supervisors are preparing their project proposals right now. Next week they will send their proposals to us, and after reviewing their proposals, I'm telling. After reviewing their proposals and approving them, we will send you the proposals of the supervisors of your branch next week. Then next week you will get the list of supervisors. Then you can go to the supervisors, discuss with them about their idea or your idea. If the supervisor approves you, they will send us the notification along with your group details, and we will accept that project for you. Is it now clear? Okay. About the time, we did not know at the moment. We did not know that we had a clash between these timings. So next time we'll try to sort it out. This timing thing for Jeddah branch. We'll make sure that this clash does not take place. As I had already mentioned, you need not worry about the attendance thing, but you need to join so that you can understand things properly. But we would at the same time would try to resolve the clash that we are having. So starting the last important thing about the course material. This is very important thing that I am telling. For this course, all the material, as I had already told you, is in the Blackboard. There is no book. The material is what we will be talking here and what is in the Blackboard. Now the material in the Blackboard is in the form of videos. If it was in the form of lecture slides or PPTs, I would have shared it, but these videos are too heavy, and this semester there is no facility of downloading from Blackboard as well. So what I am going to do, we are going to run all the lecture slides during this hour. We are going to run the lecture slides during this hour. Can you see at the moment the lecture slide running on your Blackboard? Can you see the lecture slide? Okay, good. So I will, for example, if this week I am covering 3 weeks material, that 3 weeks material would be shown, but it is clear because I have to give notes as well. I have to write notes, so you can see it clearly, right? All of you can see to it clearly, right? So if I am giving you the material of 3 weeks this week, all those 3 weeks lecture slides would be run here. So you can download this recording and use it as the lecture slides. Understood? Next week, if I cover another 4 weeks, so you would have the lecture slide of 7 weeks. In that way, we would cover all the lecture slides. Now, starting from the lecture slides of week 2, that is where your material for this course begins. And the title of lecture of week 2 is Research Methods and Ethics. Unfortunately, for this lecture, the PPTs are not available. All the material is in the form of videos. So you would have to live with how I am running the lecture slides for you. Now there are 2 things that we are covering here in this chapter. One is research method and the other is ethics. Research ethics. There are some definitions that are here. Yes, these are the same slides as last year exactly. So the first definition, again, every slide of this course is important. Your questions can come from any of the lecture slides. What is research? This is the first slide of this chapter, and this is the definition. This is a very important definition. Your question can be to define it and explain it in your own words. So what is research? Research is a systematic inquiry that investigates hypotheses, suggests new interpretations of data or text, and poses new questions for future research to explore. So look at this definition very carefully. There are 4 important things in this definition. 1, how research is carried out, and 2, what the research does. So first thing, how the research is carried out. Research is a systematic inquiry. By systematic, we mean it has a proper method. It has a system. Inquiry means research is an activity where we ask a question to get an answer in a systematic way, in a methodical way, according to a proper procedure. And why do we ask this question? Why do we inquire? There are 3 reasons. There are 3 purposes that we want to achieve. The first purpose is to investigate the hypothesis. There is some already existing concept and we want to know whether that concept is correct or incorrect. That is the first reason why we conduct research. Second, suggest new interpretations of data or text. You have some values, you have some numbers, you have some data, and that data gives you a new concept, a new hypothesis. Now you want to explain it, you want to interpret it, you want to get a meaning out of it. So you conduct research for this purpose. Or the third purpose is you have an already existing hypothesis and there is an explanation for it as well, but you have some new questions. Now you want to explain those questions. So you carry out research. So in simple words, research is a method to ask questions. We ask these questions to understand a concept or to propose a new concept based on some data or to ask some questions about an existing concept. No, these are not, as I have already mentioned, these are not regular slides. These are video lectures. So it is not possible to send these by email. You will have to download this recording. So for example, in today's lecture, if I'm covering 3 weeks, all these 3 weeks lecture slides are already present in this video. So you can download it and you have all the 3 lectures material with you, right? So you can use it that way. That is the whole purpose of conducting this course, to explore the alternatives from the existing methods. This is an alternative that we are encouraging you to explore, and this helps me in forcing you to listen to what we are talking here and to look at the questions that we are talking here. So the only method that you can use to assess these slides is download the recording that I have prepared. With that recording, you will get all the lecture slides. So the first lecture slide that we have taught, very important lecture slide, what is research? Second lecture slide, as we see here, why do we conduct research? Again, a very important slide. There is going to be one short question, definitely from week 2's material. Why do we research? We do research because research allows us to, with the help of research, we can pursue new interests. We can create new ideas. We can create new concepts, right? So, for example, from where did mobile phone come from? From where did computer come from? From where did your sunglasses come from? From where did anything around you, electricity, come from? This is all coming out due to research. People were doing new things. People were exploring new ideas. So someone invented electricity. Someone discovered new lands. Someone found a new discovery. Someone made mobile phone. All of this is result of research. So research allows us to pursue new ideas. Number 2, research allows us to tell whether some existing idea is correct or not. Third, we do research because with the help of research, we can make new products, we can make new services, we can write new papers, we can write new theses, we can do all of these things. With the help of research, we can learn some new things, and with the help of research, we can contribute to the knowledge. We can make some new knowledge. We can make the world more aware about some new concepts. So this is again a very important slide, but easy slide. How do we conduct research? The way we carry out research, the way we do research is usually called methods. So all the methods that we adopt to carry out research are called research methods. Research methods are proper approaches. These approaches tell us a step-by-step method of how we will collect data, how we will form the hypothesis, how we will validate data, how we will transform data, how we will conduct experimentation, how we will generate results, how we will validate results. Each research method is a step-by-step approach which tells us from the start till the end how the research will be carried out. It is just like the documents that you will receive. I'm coming to your question, very important question. Research methods are step-by-step approaches of conducting research. Now, research method and research methodology are both the similar kind of things. Both are the same thing. The lectures are very small. Each lecture has no more than 6 or 5 lecture slides. So we will be able to cover 3 to 4 weeks material within one lecture. It will be easy. It will not be very difficult. For example, we are already almost at the end of the material of week 1. So it's not too much. We can cover 3 weeks material or 4 weeks material within one sitting. And our purpose is to cover the whole material within 4 weeks. So it is not possible until we cover a lot of weeks within one session. of 2 hours. Research methods are the approaches which we follow to conduct research. As we had already mentioned, research is a systematic inquiry. It is a methodical way of doing something, and the method that we follow to do research is called research method. Research methods are divided into 2 categories. One is called quantitative and the other is called qualitative. When we talk of a quantitative approach, a quantitative approach is an approach where we get numbers. We do research based on numbers. For example, how many students passed senior project 1 in year 2013? Then how many students passed senior project 1 in 2014? How many students passed in 2015? Now we have numbers. Based on these numbers, we can, for example, predict how many students will pass senior project 1 in 2016. This is a research. And since this research is based on some quantities, that is why it is called quantitative research method. The other approach is called qualitative. In qualitative, we talk about the degree. We talk about the extent. For example, too many. For example, too little. For example, too hot. For example, too cold. For example, little cold. We don't talk about numbers. We talk about values, or we talk about degrees. And when we conduct research based on degrees, based on extent, we call it qualitative. Now, when we have to do research, if we want to do quantitative research, we will have to have quantitative data. If we want to do qualitative research, we will have to have qualitative data. As I have just mentioned, there are 2 approaches of conducting research, 2 different categories of methods. One is called qualitative, the other is called quantitative. So there are 2 examples of qualitative research methods. One is called interviews, the other is called observations. While in quantitative, there are 3 examples that have been given here. One is called survey, the other is called experiment, and the last one is called simulation. In interviews, we go to the people, we talk with them, and we try to get the idea from them about how to carry out research. In observation, we sit with the people who are doing something and we look at how they work, and based on our looking at them, we do observation-based research. In surveys, we send questions to the people. People fill in our questions, give us answers, and we collect all of those answers to form our hypothesis. In experiments, we do the task by ourselves, and the results that we get tell us. Mr. Faisal, I have already told you that we had a problem because you had not informed us earlier about the clash, although we had a class last week as well, but no one informed me till yesterday that there is a clash. So now we would resolve that clash inshallah in next week. It is up to you whether you want to stay in this session or you want to go another session. But while you are here, I would really recommend that you give good attention to it and you don't disturb the other students, because we have got a lot of material to cover, which is very important because it is 40 marks worth. Yeah, I know, but you told us just yesterday, okay? If you had told that to me earlier, we would have resolved it, right? You just told me, like I came to know about it just yesterday. I cannot do anything about it. So next time I will do something about it. But for now, it is totally up to you. I'm not marking attendance. If you want to stay here, stay here. I had already explained the situation, right? In the beginning, if you had problem, you should have been here from the beginning. And while we are doing some lecture, it would be really appreciated if you follow it, because it's a really important course. And the others would suffer because of this thing. Right? So please don't try to distract. Follow it properly. Simulations are the kind of research methods where we don't do, I'll come to that question, very important question. So simulations are the experiments that we don't do in real, we do it on computers. So we run simulations. This is not real experiment, this is just a model of experiment to see the behavior of certain things. Your question is, can we use interviews or observations for quantitative research? No. When we are doing interviews, when we are doing observations, these are always qualitative. But you can mix and merge a lot of different methods. For example, you can do interviews and surveys together. So you will have one qualitative approach and one quantitative approach. This totally depends on the design of your research. You can follow any one of those. The last lecture slide of the week 2 material, research ethics. What is research ethics? When we are doing research, there are some things that we always avoid. These are the things that if we do, our research is dishonest. So all the things that we follow so that our research is honest are called research ethics. Research ethics are rules which tell us what are the right things to do in research and what are the wrong things to do in research. When we talk of ethics, ethics are not like laws. So if you don't follow ethics, most probably no one will send you to jail or something like that. But your research will be dishonest and nobody will accept your research and they will stop themselves from accepting any kind of new research from you. So any bad activity that you do during your research is against the research ethics and it can cause you a lot of problems. What are the things which are against research ethics? The first thing which is against research ethics is scientific misconduct. For example, you are doing interviews and during those interviews you don't ask the right questions, so people cannot give right answers. This is research misconduct. Or for example, you do interviews with 20 people, but in your research you say that you did interviews with 200 people. So this is called misconduct. Research fraud. If you did not do the research, but you claim that you did the research. For example, you did not do any surveys, but you say that I conducted surveys for 6 months. This is research fraud. You did not see the result of your coding, or you did not even code, but in your research you said that I coded. This is called research fraud. Plagiarism. If you wrote a paper or you wrote a chapter or you wrote an assignment but you copied it from someone, it is called plagiarism. And if your research caused problems to the people, for example, you were doing research and your research was focused on creating some virus and that virus affected the computers of people who participated in your research, this is unethical. All of these activities like scientific misconduct, like research fraud, like plagiarism, like harming to the participants, all of these are unethical activities and they can cause a lot of problems for your research, and these things can force the people not to accept your research and bar you from doing any further research. These were the lecture slides of week 2. As you can see, there were a total of 5 slides that we talked about. We defined research. We did define research methods. We defined the purpose of research, and we talked about what is ethical research. If you see one important thing, you look at slide 4 as you can see now, and you will see that at the bottom of this slide there is this thing, source, which says that what is research methodologies, define and meaning. Then if you look at slide number 2, there is again a source, right? You can look at it, you can see it. Can you see this? Source, what is research? Yes. So this is ethics. This definition is not by the authors of this lecture slide, right? This definition is from these authors, from this material. So this is ethics. They told that this is the research done by these people that you can find from this link. If they said, if they did not write the name of the person who created this thing, then they had conducted an unethical activity. So these kind of things, to give the proper name of the people who did research, whose research you are following, to completely describe, to write your original content, to make sure that people are safe with your research, these kind of things are called ethical research. So this is material for week 2. Now we will be going to talk about material of week 3. So very good question. We would take this question at the end of today's lecture. So remember your question. When our material ends, please repeat the question again. Okay. So I'm going to start the material for week 3. Let's start the material of week 3. Can you see, now we have moved to week 3, literature review and references. Is this the lecture that is coming to you? Good. Week 2 lecture slides were very important. That is why I spent so much time on it. Week 3 lecture slides are also very important. So I'm going to spend a lot of time on it, and we are going to see something very important that is also going to be part of your exam. So make good attention to week 3 lecture as well. Week 3 lecture as well. Literature review and references. When you will be carrying out your senior project 1 after introduction, yes, I had already explained in last week's class that you had downloaded the recording, which I am again and again emphasizing. In order to don't repeat the questions, please look at the lecture recordings, because definitely those are very important. There is no book you will fail if you will not follow the recordings. There is going to be an exam at the end of the year for this course. So when you will be coming back to lecture slide, when you will be doing your senior project 1 after introduction, the second chapter that you would be writing about your project is literature review. In literature review, the purpose of literature review is to get a good idea about the work that has already been carried out in the domain of the project that you are working on. For example, let's suppose you are working on a project which is in the domain of image processing. Or for example, you are working on a project which is in the domain of mobile application development. Thank you so much, Abdullah. We are all here. If you are, maybe you are doing a project in the domain of OCR reading, you are doing a project in the domain of information system, any kind of project that you are doing, you need to understand that you are not the first one to do the project, that kind of project. If you are doing a project in the domain of image processing, thousands of projects have already been done in that domain. If you are doing a project in the domain of information systems, thousands and thousands of information systems have already been developed. So in order to know how an information system is developed, you need to study about the existing information systems. If you are making an application about image processing, in order to understand how an image processing application works, you need to understand the existing image processing application. Okay? Is that so or not? If you don't know how an image processing application works, by looking at already existing ones, how can you know what you are going to make? What would be its components? What would be the relationship between those components? What would be the input? What would be the output? So you need to know all of these things so that you can get an idea about the product that you are going to make. Right? For this purpose, you need to study the existing material. This study is called literature review. You don't study everything because everything is impossible to study. Yeah, exactly, because this is a very good thing that you mentioned, because you are going to propose something new. So in order to tell us how your thing is new, you need to tell what is already existing and what is not in those which you are mentioning. This is one reason of studying. The other reason, as I mentioned, so you need to study. The important thing is you need to study the important things according to your criteria, and this study is called literature review. But as we mentioned in the previous lecture, whenever you are doing some activity, you need to be ethical. When you are studying something, basically you are using that material to enhance your knowledge, right? So you are studying. Can anyone explain to Faisal in Arabic, in whisper or local message, what I explained just a little while ago? Can anybody help me in this, as he has been mentioning this thing and he has been distracting me from delivering my lecture? If anybody could help me in that and explain to him what I said in Arabic or in simple words, I would be really happy. So I need to share the material again. I think due to some reason the sharing stopped. So here we are again. Now, when we are using some other person's material to understand what we are going to make, it is always ethical for us to tell our readers. It is always, I know already, that is what I have explained, Faisal. So I know that. Thank you so much. So it is always ethical for us to tell the people that, okay, these are the things that I studied. So I tell that, okay, this information I took from this source. This information I took from this source. Mr. XYZ said this. Mr. ABC told this. These are called references. References serve us in two ways. Number one, references make our research ethical. We honestly tell that, look, these are the things that other people said. So I am telling you already. My work will be later on. This is not my work. So this shows ethical. Second, it makes your work meaningful, because when people read the work that has already been done, they realize that, okay, it means that the work that you are doing has strong foundations because people have already worked on it and they take your work seriously. If you don't present literature review and if you don't give references, in that case people don't take your work seriously. So that is the whole idea of week 3 material, which is very important. Now quickly going, what is literature review? Again, a definition. Again, we have to look at it very carefully. A literature review discusses published information in a particular subject area. Read it carefully, and sometimes information in a particular subject area within a certain time period. It is totally up to the conditions imposed on you. So you write your literature review in which you discuss the work that has already been done. Sometimes the literature that you present is time bound, means you mention the material that has been published in last 5 years or last 2 years or last 1 year. So defined time period, and sometimes you don't have any defined time period. You can select the material from any duration. That is totally up to you. Literature review discusses the published information in a particular subject area. That is the definition of literature review. The purpose of literature review. Very important slide. The purpose of literature review is number one, to serve as lamp post. You do research literature review so that you can know what others did. What are the similar kind of products? What are the concepts? What are the relationships? What are different components? What different kind of inputs? What different kind of outputs? What kind of formations? What kind of representations? You do literature review so that you can understand about your domain as much as possible. So it serves as a lamppost. Second, it serves as someone had just mentioned, it serves you to know what has already been done, so that what you are going to do can be an improvement over what has already been done, something that has not been done before. So when you know what has already been done, you can realize what are the new things that you can do in your project. 3, it tells you how your research is going to be different from the already done research. And 4, it gives you more than one different new options to start your research. So you don't have only one new area, you can have many new areas. And out of those many new areas, you can choose one particular area that suits you. Next, and very important, because we will be having a question about these lectures, these referencing models which we are talking here, and this is very important part, as I'm going to mention, and I'm going to show you something about this as well. So there are, when you are doing research, literature review, when you are doing literature review, when you are doing literature review, you have to write the names of the people whose work you have studied. That is called reference list, or list of references, or different kind of names. The template that would be given to you would have a section for that as well. To write references, there are different styles. Out of those styles, 4 styles are very important. One is called APA, the other is called MLA, the third one is called Chicago, and the 4th one is called Turabian. Now Turabian is not important for us because Turabian is usually followed by the law graduates, so we don't follow that. Most of the times the people of IT for their research papers and for their thesis follow APA style, MLA style, Chicago style, these 3 styles, and we are going to look at the examples of these as well. So in your exam, you can be asked different kind of questions. For example, you can be given references, you can be given examples, and you can be asked, tell us which of these is APA style, or which of these is MLA style, or which of these is Chicago style. Or for example, you can be asked to write an example of an APA style, or you can be asked to write an example of MLA style, or you can be asked to write an example of Chicago style, different kind of questions. But this is going to be an applied question from this. If a question comes about reference list, you are going to be asked an applied question. You will be writing references in your report as well. So make good idea of how these referencing styles differ from each other. No, you don't have your own style. You will be given a style in your template, and you will follow only that style. For the report, this is a very important question. All of you should remember, there is no your own style. You will be given a template and you will follow that template for everything. You will write your headings according to that template. You will write your text according to that template. You will write your references. You will create your diagrams. Everything. These are standards, exactly as you mentioned. These are standards, and you will follow those standards. IEEE itself is not a standard for referencing. I will provide template, exactly. We will provide template when the time will come, when your project will be approved. That template will be given to you. Yeah, it will be in MS Word. It will be in MS Word, so you will be able to translate your work in that template in an MS Word file. For referencing, IEEE follows APA style. So we are going to talk about these styles now. When you are writing a list of references, the important thing that you need to describe in any referencing style, you need to describe the name of authors, you need to describe the title of the work, you need to describe the book or journal where that work was published, you need to describe the year when it was published, you need to describe the page on which that material is written, you need to describe the publishers of that work. These are all the kind of information that you need to write in a reference. So now I am going to share with you examples of different references of the first three references. You will be asked questions about the first three reference styles, APA, MLA and Chicago. So let's first have a look at an example of APA style. So let's look at the example of APA style. If I can write one here, if I can write something here, and you can see to it as well. Let's see if it works. Let's try it. This is very. What is Ahmed's question? Can you write it again, please? Abdul Rahman, can you write again? What is Ahmed's question? No, you don't choose. You don't choose. It will be given by us, right? It will be told by us which style you are going to follow. It is not random. You cannot go random. You will follow that whatever we ask you to follow. Okay? Group members you can choose by yourself. Exactly. Group members, I thought you are going to ask about the style. Yeah, group members are totally your choice. We are not any authority on it. You can choose your group members by yourself. Group size is from 2 to 4. Okay, this is the APA style. If you are asked to give an example of APA style, or if you are given an example and you are asked what style it is, you will follow, you will look at it, and if it follows this model, you will say that this has been written in APA style. If you look at it carefully, you will see that in APA style, first you write the names of the authors. Okay, Majid, I have already explained that at the start of the lecture, how you will get the list of supervisors. So I would suggest that either you ask your friends who had come earlier, or you wait for the recording to be available, and then you can know how you will get the list of supervisors. But for now, we should focus on what we are doing, right? Because we are doing something very important. Okay, so in APA style, the first part of APA style is the name of the authors. As you see the name of the authors, the first name is complete, the second name only one character, Gaudio J, L, and Snowden C, T. One name is complete, the remaining names only the first character. So the first part is the names of the authors. Then we give the year of the publication in brackets. If you are going to give an example of APA, if you are going to follow APA style, you will follow APA style 100% as APA style is. Okay? So second, after that, you give year in brackets. Then you write the title of the paper. Right? Here you see the title of the paper, spatial cues more salient than color cues in cotton top, tamarind, sanguineous, ophidius, reversal learning. This is the title of the paper or title of the thesis. After that,
you have the journal in which this paper has been published. After that, you describe the issue or volume of the journal 122, and after that you describe the page number this paper published on, page number 441 to 444, and in the end date of issue, when this particular DOI is not date of issue, it is a number which is maintained by American Library.
Recording in progress.
The name of the paper completes, there is another full stop. In APA, every section is separated from the other section through full stops. But in MLA, every section is separated from the other section by commas. So name, comma, then paper. Again, the name of the paper is written in columns. While you see in APA, the name of the paper is not written in columns. So you look at differences, there are major differences. Name of the paper in columns, separated through comma. Again, the name of the journal again ends with comma. The volume, as you can see in APA, there was no VOL or issue or something, but in MLA we write volume. So we write the issue number. Then in the end, as you can see in APA, the year was written after the name of the author, but in MLA, year is written after volume and without brackets. Okay, after that, DOI is again optional. So look how much different these two different referencing styles are. And the last referencing style that we have to see, the second after number, this is complete volume. When we talk of volume, volume means volume plus issue. Okay, so volume plus issue. Sometimes we only give volume, sometimes we give issue and volume. If we have to write issue, we give number or 2. So volume, issue. Most of the times it is only volume. The last referencing style that we have to see
is called Chicago style. So we are going to see the example of Chicago style now. Let me just make it bold. As you see in Chicago style, if you look at Chicago style, you will see that the names are separated by and. You see here, the first name, here the names are complete. Georgie Cosinets, Duncan J. Watts, okay? And there is a separation between them through ands. Just like MLA, we separate one section from the other with the help of commas. You can't see it? Can you see it now?
Recording in progress.
Okay, most of you can see as I can see, but some of you cannot see. Maybe it's the problem of the mobile interface, that's why you cannot see, but when you download the recording, then you can see. Okay. So here, when in Chicago style, when you are writing names, you separate them with and, number one. Number two, you separate one section from the other sections with the help of commas, just like in MLA. You don't give colons around the name of the title of the work. So origins of homophily in an evolving social network, you don't give colons around that. Then you write the name of the journal in which it was published. Then you write volume, but without writing VOL or without writing number. And then the year again is given in the form of bracket inside the brackets. Okay, and DOI is again optional. When you want to, when you will be writing references in your, okay, today we are going to follow only week 2 and week 3, so we are not covering week 4 because we have run out of time and we explained a lot of things. There are all of these, if you have to refer a book, if you have to refer a website, if you have to refer a journal, if you have to refer a conference, the examples that I have given are the broad structure. For referencing, the examples are always available on internet. So you can go on internet, you can see, so you can see what is the MLA style for referring a book. What is the MLA style for referring a website? What is MLA style for referring a conference? And it will give you the structure and you can refer accordingly. So these are just examples for explanation. Now there was a question that I said that you should be given to me at the end. Can you repeat that question again, please? Whatever that question was. So today we have followed week 2, week 3. Next week we will follow week 4, week 5, week 6 and week 7. Next week we will be covering 4 weeks material. The criteria of good research. The criteria of good research is that it should provide some new ideas. Next week's class, if we can, one of the classes time will change. If my class time changes, I will announce. If doctor's class time changes, he will announce. The criteria of good research is that it should be complete, it should be honest, it should offer some new areas of work, it should improve some existing concepts. That is the criteria of good research. If you are making a new product, that new product should be meaningful. Yeah, time is over and our class is complete for today. Thank you so much, everyone. See you all in next week's face-to-face class.